No, when I read this, I did feel terrible for Richard because you can hear the desperation, especially with Sam Chuchuvas, who's reading the Audible. His performance of this part was amazing. He does character voices, not like other voices, but like an actor would do it if he was on screen. So you really feel for Richard. He's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not an Audible reader. But Richard's like, so what am I going to do then, Zedd? Because I don't have anything else figured out. This is all I know. I wake and think of her. I sleep and think of her. I eat and think of her. And she is all consuming.
At this point, Zedd hugs him and says, just be her friend. That's what she needs. And I feel like that's solid advice for, like, most situations. For girls going through some shit, just be her friend. Just keep being there. I know there's a risk of friend zoning it, but, like, just play it safe. Don't rush it. It's fine. At this point, Richard kind of gets a hold of himself, and he says, you came out here as wizard to counsel the Seeker. Why are you here? And Zedd tells him to tell the Seeker he almost made a serious mistake today. And Richard's like, I fucking know. Okay, I get it. But when you appointed me the Seeker, you took the bad with the good.
Which I took to mean, you took me knowing what I know.
And knowing that I feel what I feel.
Right, exactly.
I'm not gonna turn away from a friend in need just because I grabbed the sword up 4 hours ago.
That's not the kind of guy that Richard is.
No, it's not the kind of guy that Richard is. And this is when Richard goes, consider me reprimanded, alright? You don't need to fucking yell at me, I got it. Consider the lecture done, okay?
Zedd tells Richard, look, dude, this is bigger than where you're going to put your dick tonight, okay? There are innocent people out there that you might be able to help, but are going to be killed because you need to make the choice to move forward with what we're doing instead of stopping to help those people. And that's the only choice that is being made. He says, look, Dark and Raw will kill anybody, and you might have to do the same thing. At least in the essence that you might have to make the choice to ride on when somebody else is dying to protect you. You know, he says, look, the aggressor makes the rules. You can either play by them or you can die by them, but it's up to you. Richard doesn't sit very well with that.
In the Game of Thrones, either you win or you die.
Ooh, that's a good reference. So Richard asks, look, how could anybody even follow a guy like that?
And there's lots of reasons why somebody follows somebody like Dark and Raw. A lot of people want a ruler that will cut the taller plants so the light can reach the shorter ones underneath. But once the light reaches those shorter plants, they realize that they're in chains. Some people just want the reward that they think they're being promised from somebody bigger than them. And some people just like being bossed around. Like, there are a million reasons why somebody would follow somebody like Dark and Raw. And there's really no explaining it easily.
So now that Richard has been told pretty honestly that, look, innocent people are going to die. And in one way or another, it's going to be your fault, even though you're the good guy in this scenario. He has a really hard time accepting that as something that he's okay with. Or at least saying that that's something he's going to allow and make a conscious choice to do nothing about because of his mission. And because he feels so unsure about this, he asks Zedd, have you ever had to let somebody die? And Zedd drops a bomb on Richard. He's like, look, dude. He says, look, dude, you want to know how I know this is as big a deal as I'm making it sound? People die every single day because Dark and Raw wants to find out who I am. He's been torturing people to death ever since I left the Midlands, just to find out what my name is, because I cast a spell that keeps people from knowing my name. None of those people have any idea what my name is, but still he tortures them, and still they die, and that's a choice that I have to make every single day. So yeah, people have died, and I've had to be okay with that because of the mission that we need to complete.
Right, I understand how you feel. You You can't tell me that nobody gets it.
Exactly.
I get it. And it's like saying you can't pick the one kid up who's begging you to save them, because if you do, it won't give you enough time to get to the bridge to blow it before the fire gets to the 50 people beyond the bridge.
Sacrifice one for the good of many.
Right.
And you need to be able to make that call in a moment's notice without hesitation, and it's a very, very hard call to make.
Right. And Kahlan has obviously made this choice. It's made it very clear in the story that she has numerous times already. And Richard at this point is like, kind of makes my issues with Kahlan seem insignificant.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I'm kind of being a dramatic bitch going on and on about my love life, huh?
Yeah,
There's some real shit going on.
And this is when Richard tells Zedd, I tried to give her an apple and she, like, freaked out. And Zedd laughs and tells him, yeah, you basically gave her a death threat. It made me laugh out loud because he's like, yeah, I know that now, but I didn't at the fucking time, okay?
I love the way Zedd asks him what her reaction was, because maybe it's just me and my friends, but I can picture every single one of my friends leaning forward, not quite making direct eye contact, but like, what'd you say? When you did this super stupid thing. And Richard replies, look, it's not what she said, okay? It's what she did. She wrapped her hand around my throat and she threatened to kill me.
Ooh, much better story.
Yeah, like, I like this girl better already, personally. But to Richard, I kind of feel bad. Because he was scared of shit. And Richard says, she was going to kill me, even though she's my friend. She was going to make me die. I saw it in her eyes. I don't know exactly what it was, but she was definitely going to do it. And is that kind of what you're talking about? And Zedd asks if Richard would be able to kill him if he was a traitor. To kind of set up a teaching moment, I think, right now.
Right. Richard said he didn't know, because he's like a fucking father to him at this point. He said this. And Zedd's like, well, you better know. Kahlan knows the consequences if she fails, if she doesn't kill somebody who's a threat to her and the mission. Kahlan has the resolve to get this fucking finished. And Richard's like, well, she fucking hesitated. I could have overpowered her.
And Zedd says, oh, no. Don't flatter yourself, dude. She had her hand on your throat. You were done. She could have had you at any moment. She had all the time in the world to let you explain yourself. She made no mistake. Now, Richard knows that Kahlan has some sort of ability.
Right.
He has passively seen it before. Didn't see what happened, but he saw bloody, deboweled man go flying off the cliff. She can do some shit.
Yeah.
She's definitely not helpless.
Yeah.
He didn't know what that is. And I think for the first time, he should have realized that you let this super dangerous person put her hand right on your throat.
Well, that was my thing, is that at this point, is Richard kind of moves along in the conversation with Zedd. But he doesn't pause to go, wait. You're still not going to tell me what the fuck she is? She had her hand on my throat. She snuggled up with me today. All she has to do is be touching me? What the fuck?
Yeah, because at this point, Richard is unaware of the mistake that even he made.
Right.
Now, this is a pretty through theme through this whole chapter. Look, you cannot afford to fuck up. And even though Richard is flirting with this line, though we don't really believe Kahlan to be a bad character, he's still doing this super dangerous thing that could potentially sabotage him, his friends, and the entire mission. And Zedd is still unable to tell him what the deal is. He made a promise to Kahlan.
Right.
But how far does that promise to Kahlan go?
Before it risks the Seeker and
before it risks
humanity?
The mission, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And it was two things that were very, very parallel to each other through this entire second half of the chapter, we'll call it. And I was like, well, how is Zedd going to play this? And it never really clarifies that question, unfortunately.
No. The only question that we get an answer to is Richard asking Zedd if he would kill him if he were the traitor. And Zedd's like, yeah, in a twinkling.
Yeah, I'd totally fucking kill you if you fuck this up.
Zedd asks, still want to be a seeker? Like it's something that Richard has been aspiring to his whole fucking life. Richard's like, yeah.
And he asks, are you scared? And Richard confirms he is scared to the bone.
And Zedd says, good, me too. I would worry if you weren't. And that's when Richard tells him, I intend to make Darken real fucking scared too. Kinda randomly, Richard asks why all the red fruit is poison? And Panis Penis Roll wanted to strike a blow at their hearts, is what Zedd tells him. He poisoned the fruit that he knew that children would like. If Richard can learn from Zedd's mistake letting this magic out, then all those lives won't be lost for nothing.
Right. So Richard asks how they might undo a spell like that, and Zedd says there might be a way, but that if, or actually when, they defeat Darken Rawl, he'll work on a solution. And Richard promises to remember this lesson, and that he won't let all of those people die for nothing. And they sit next to each other in silence for a time. And I thought that was actually kind of an important thing.
Right.
Because this is Richard's oldest friend, and he is being presented with a very difficult situation to navigate himself through. And that sitting alone with an old friend who loves you one way or another, hates the situation that you're both in, but can just understand that you're having a hard time and sit there and fucking be quiet with you for a second. It's a very special thing.
Not only Richard having to go through shit he hasn't expected to go through, but also Zedd having to relive things he hasn't thought he was going to relive for a long time.
All of the sudden, he remembers that Darken Rawl is watching him because of the tracer cloud, and he's like, hey Zedd, I think it's time for us to disappear. How do we get rid of that fucking cloud? And Zedd asks him, has it been raining? Has it been cloudy since you've noticed this cloud trailing you? And Richard says, no, it really hasn't been. So Zedd assumes that this cloud is keeping all of the other clouds away from it. That's how Darken Rawl can pinpoint exactly where Richard is. Even if he can't really see what he's doing, he knows his location on the map, so to speak.
Generally.
Yeah. And Zedd says he just wishes he knew how Darken Rawl had this cloud hooked to Richard so he could undo it. And this blew my mind. Richard at this point goes, well, you know what? And he goes, you know what? If you put a spell on this cloud that has a spell on it that makes other clouds stay away from it, that made the clouds attracted to this cloud, then all of these lines of magic would kind of bump up against Darken Rawl's magic and kind of unhook it from me. 'Cause, you know, all that makes sense if you don't think about it. And Zedd says, bags! But, I mean, we all kind of know that he meant, fuck, man, how'd you figure that out?
Yeah, Richard schooled the cloud reader somehow?
Yeah, this is Zedd's thing. He is a cloud reader. We know it's more than that. He's a wizard.
Right.
But for sure he should have this cloud reading thing pegged.
And apparently Richard knows. He's got it all figured out.
Totally got there before Zedd. So Zedd takes a rock from his pocket, and I imagine he sets it down on the ground and starts spinning his finger counterclockwise or clockwise, whichever direction suits your fancy, in the air above this rock, making it spin. And as it spins, it lights up. And as it gets brighter, it gets bigger. And as it gets bigger, it gets brighter. And so on and so forth until it's a rock that I picture to be, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet across.
Yeah.
Something big enough to stand on. Not massive, but still pretty fucking big. Maybe a little wider than your shoulders.
Right.
And Zedd, and Richard recognizes it as his cloud rock. And Zedd kind of goes, well, it's not really a cloud rock, it's a wizard rock, but same difference. Because it's all woo to Richard at this point.
Right.
He has no idea what the difference could possibly be. And then he's like, hey, come step on it.
Come hop on, bud.
Whoa. I don't know, man.